It's now time for Me and My Roku with host Peter Clay. It's the only game in town.
Incidentally, this is Peter.
So we have a voicemail now from Peter.
Pete, you are not.
Not everybody sounds like Peter Clay.
This is what it's all about, isn't it?
Peter Clay is here today.
Wow. Oh, boy.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Me and My Roku. We're back. It's me, Peter Clay. I'm back and I'm jacked. We had a whole bunch of time there spent with My Roku over the holidays and everything like that. But we're back on the podcast. I'm back here to tell you what I do with my Roku to hopefully help you and your Roku. So a bunch of things happened while I was gone. I gave away a Roku as a gift because my sister-in-law and her, whatever he is, they had a Roku 2, and I noticed they got the last update, the 9.2 blah, 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 whatever, but they're not going to get any more updates on that. So I thought, well, golly gosh, I can't let anyone in my family go without a Roku, or at least an unupdatable Roku. So that's what's going on. So I thought on this episode, I would go back to my notes from the last year. So instead of going back and being lazy and trying to gut through and edit out different segments and all that stuff as a best of, I would just go through my notes and read some of them back. So we'll do some of that. Some of the other news and notes that's going on with the Roku. My comings and goings of what happened, what came and went during that holiday break, and all sorts of good things. So we got plenty to go through. So let's get started.
Okay, we're back. Back in my microphone, not using my AirPods to record a segment there. So we live and learn here as we try this thing we call podcasting. So, hey, before I get into my notes from last year and all that stuff, we are getting close here. Now that college football is done, the NFL is on its penultimate weekend. Lots of things going on. So we're getting close to the end of the month, end of January at the time of this recording. That means it's almost P-Day. P-Day, what the heck is that? That means, yes, PlayStation View Day. January 30th, it goes away. It's gone. The things that are providing us since football season started back in August or so. It's going to go away. So what do we do next? Lots of things. Notice a bunch of people raising their prices that are along those same categories of streaming on-demand or live video. We've seen lots of people extend their free trials. So some that had 5 days are now 7 days. Some that had 7 days now 14 days. And we even see a new player, VidGo, is out there. That might be worth a trial. They got a 7-day trial. Might have to check that out. Also got a big vacation coming up, so might not do anything until I get back from that at the middle of February. So, wow, lots of things going on, but we get to say farewell in these last 2 weeks of PlayStation View. It's been a good service. It's been great. It's basically had everything but history and A&E networks and those things I get on Hulu for the on-demand stuff. So it's been a good ride. It's been good, but now it's time to say farewell. But enjoy it while you got it. So kind of binging the crud out of it and all the different services and the logins that's provided, all the networks that I can get on it. They even added a channel. That was really weird in their last month. And they didn't bill for the month of January, so free stuff. That's always good things. So after that, we'll just see what happens after that. But until then, PlayStation View, thank you for your service. We thanked you. We loved you. And by we, I mean me, because it's me and my Roku. Okay, well, 2019's done. That's the end of a year, and to some people, end of a decade. To me, anytime the odometer goes over, that's it. But for others, some people have just got to say, no, it starts with 1, and then it ends with 0. But to me, Zero is as good a place to start as anything else. So 2020 begins a new decade for me and ends at 2019. And it was a wonderful year because back in May of 2019, I restarted this podcast, Me and My Roku. And part of the reason for that was I was getting bombarded with a bunch of questions from people about, what should I do about this streaming service? What do you do, type of thing. So I just tell them what I did, and they were just like, oh, yeah, I didn't think about that. Okay, so it started with my sister-in-law's boyfriend, and then it kind of went at a dinner with some friends, and just kind of carried over. Just seemed like wherever I was at, and I was being peppered with, oh, you use Roku, huh? Oh, hey. So how does that work? Blah, blah, blah. So instead of having to go through that every single time, now I can just say, hey, there's a podcast called Me and My Roku. Check it out. So, and I would write little notes here and there, and it's a good refresher, actually. So not just as a best of or the year in review type of thing. It's just kind of a best practices thing here, because for me, I don't want to stay static with my Roku and the things on it. Can just, there's Netflix, here's Hulu, here's that. If I wanted that, then I could just stay with cable TV. So, okay, there's ESPN, here's my channels, and you just, same thing in and out, same day, or same stuff, different day type of thing. So the Roku just opened up everything turns into, and that there was different things all the time, things constantly being added, different streaming services coming and going, just like PlayStation Vue is going, VidGo coming in. Sling TV has this and doesn't have this, but Fubo has this, but doesn't have ESPN. VidGo has NFL Network, but football season's over now. It doesn't have MLB Network. So a lot of that stuff. So you got to stay on top of things and all that stuff. So going through my notes, and I just wrote down a whole bunch of things that were just added just that day to Roku. And thankfully, when Roku updated to 9.2, whatever it is, they kind of restructured that a little bit and just kind of put everything in its place in their categories. So there's the new stuff that they're promoting type of thing, like the new big ones, like when Disney Plus arrived, there's a spot just for that. Because they take in so many channels that, you can just get an app on your computer or on your phone even too, and just put your videos on there and make a Roku channel. It's actually pretty simple. However, so I just wrote down on just one piece of paper on one day, here were some, didn't write the date on this one. And another funny story here, I had them all in order from May all the way until last month. And of course, as I go to turn the papers, then I trip on something and they all went over. So things are going to be a little out of order here, but I just thought it was funny. These new channels that were added, DMV Flicks for Independent Creators, Paper Chases TV, Hillbilly Horror Stories, which was only reviewed, only got 1.5 stars, was really shocking. New Homes Channel, Stoned Mode, Best Watched While Baked, okay. Planet Auction, Friday Night Network, East Central Alabama High School Football, 5-Minute Guitar Lessons, Daily Fitness Tips, Retro Monster Channel, How to Relieve Stress, Bass Fishing TV. So that was just, I did a whole thing on a show on that. So, yeah. So, yeah, like I said, back in May, I decided to bring this show back, and I wanted to be specifically clear when I did this show again, because it was called Me and My Roku, that it was about me. But not in an egotistical way. Hey, it's me, and I do everything I do, and you'll be great. So that was the whole thing. Some podcasts will tell you that it's actually your show. I find it more with financial shows. This show's about you and your money, and don't worry about anything else. It's about you. But yet, the show has my name on it and my studios. And if you don't do things the way I tell you, then you're a loser. Not here. It's me, but I'm just telling you what I do as a reference point. And then you decide for you what's best for you. I just found that worked better. Zumo and Stir, that was a big thing about the whole advent of ad-supported video television, or ad-supported on-demand television. Pluto TV, Stir, Zumo, Roku channel, Crackle, all those different things. That was a big thing in 2019. A lot of those coming out, and now coming forward, there going to be lots of things like Peacock, Hulu to a degree, but you got to pay for commercials, and then pay more for no commercials or less commercials, something like that. So Zumo was one that kind of, Stir was kind of a, it's here, then it's gone, and here again, and then I read something that they added new channels again, and I get it again, and so it's not for me. It could be for you, but not. So that's another sheet of paper. Here's another sheet of paper. Here's one where I had a game plan, okay? So this is what you can do if you're getting a Roku for the first time, is you want to get a mindset that's like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Where do I go first? Is to have kind of a game plan, and that is to have one subscription, say Netflix, Hulu, MLB TV, anything along those lines, HBO, something like that. All right, and then kind of just deal with the free channels then. Roku, Pluto, Tubi, that was another one. Zumo, Crackle, YouTube. Hello, got to have YouTube on there. So right there, just alone, just those channels right there, you've got enough to rot your brain for a long time. Then there was the authentication channels. Food Network, HTV, DIY, PBS, all those different things that you use your cable subscription, ESPN, all those things that you use your cable subscription or your, at the time, PlayStation View or Hulu or anything that you get your thing to. Can't do it with Sling. You got to do that with Sling. Info Entertainment, Morningstar, America's Text Kitchen, that app went away. JTV, Shop LC, a lot of free stuff out there that have specific genres there for you. So like shopping and finance and all that stuff. And then finally, Plex for your like DVD collection. But now they are an ad-supported on-demand app as well now. And then finally, although I think I just said finally, but finally again, music channels. Big source of debate for me is whether that's important or not, because why do you want to watch things? So we used to, now actually we're kind of stepping back a little bit with the music channels on our Roku, because as gifts we got these things you talk to. So, hey Google, how are you today?
I'm great. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, see? One of those things. And so, so we got Google, we got Amazon and all that stuff. So we talk to these things, and they play music too. But if you want to have music channels, Pandora, SiriusXM, iHeart, and Amazon Music as well. So right there, a game plan. If you're just getting a Roku for the first time or getting a new one, or just trying to get rid of some of the clutter in your life, just to have some sort of a plan, I think that's as good as you can get for you and your Roku. All right. Yeah. So continuing on with 2019 year in review. Just going through my notes of all the shows I did last year on Me and My Roku. This is from May. So like a couple weeks after it started. And this one here kind of drew my ire, and I had to talk about it, and it still perplexes me to this day, is why I needed to authenticate the Weather Channel. Now, I get it. Now, there were some studies done. I can't remember who did it. But they were surveying people about the brands that they trust. And in the top 10 was the Weather Channel. Thought that was a little odd, you know? Like Facebook wasn't on there, obviously. Coca-Cola got knocked out. And so the brands that you trust, and the Weather Channel was on there. And then I would authenticate with my cable service, and then like a day or two later, I'd have to do it again, and it was just getting annoying, and I've just basically launched it. Basically, the phone basically gives me all the weather I need. I don't really need it on my Roku. However, Weather Nation is out there. AccuWeather's out there as well. Those are free. And Weather Nation you can get on Pluto TV or in its own app. And so Weather Channel, thanks, but no thanks. And then can you really get your own weather on there? They seem to be doing other stories, and they seem to be sending people into crisis mode. And, you know, you're just trying to find where the weather is bad in this big, huge country of ours. You know, so it didn't, yeah. I was fine letting that go. Music channels. I talked about that last segment. Just authentication channels. Oh, there I go with that word again. Authentication channels. In general, were kind of a necessary evil type of thing. So on PlayStation View and on some of these other ones, they have DVR functions or they have on-demand sections type of things within the apps. And that's usually good enough to rot your brain if you just have some time and you just want to get through an episode of Chopped. You don't really want to just wait until 9 o'clock or Tuesdays whenever it's on binge day. So the apps for these networks seem to be a perfect way to satisfy those itches type of things, because the apps themselves then carry basically their entire library of what they want to show type of thing. So Food Network, HGTV, Discovery, they're all kind of grouped together now in one, but also A&E and ESPN and all that stuff. You can get into these if you use your login either for your cable or who's ever providing your live service. So that was a big deal, and I talked about that a lot during the year. So in June, what did I talk about? I talked about cutting the cord again and again and again. So it was one thing to cut the cord to go to the Roku, just get an internet service and just use the Roku as your TV entertainment. But then, is that the end of it? No type of thing. Is like they can't miss you if you don't go away. You've got to be mindful and look for the deals type of thing and see what free trials you can get, who's going to give you the channels that you want type of thing. And sometimes if you're not watching it, let it go. And then if comes football season again or something like that, they have the best service, you can come back and maybe they'll get you a deal to come back or something along those lines. So that's one thing I talked about in June. Baseball for free on T-Mobile. Only on the T-Mobile Tuesday, or basically the first week of the baseball season. So look out for that if that's the type of thing. Here's another thing. This is how we got one of our Googles and all that stuff. Also looking for promotions, but they'll give you a free device of some sort. Now, Sling TV would give you a free Roku if you paid for 2 months in advance. For me, for my Google machine back here, I just had to get premium Spotify and then make Spotify my default music. Just had to do that for 1 month. That was it. And I got a $50 device. And Roku, I think it's, 2 months. And then you get a Roku Express, which is what I got my sister-in-law and her, whatever he is. And that's a really slick little device for $25. I think it's normally $29.99. I got it on Christmas special type of thing. YouTube TV, CBS All Access, blah, blah, blah. Okay, anyway. So let's go to, we got July. Other cable alternatives. Yes, breaking up is good for you. We talked about that. So, and all the different things. This has been an adventure as far as podcasting goes, of getting this podcast on every available podcast platform out there. So Apple was a big one. I don't know how I did it on my previous podcast. It's still there, as a matter of fact. And so Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, Spreaker, iHeartMedia. That was a hard one, but we got it. Still just haven't gotten Pandora, but radio.com, we got them. And so we're all on there too. So that was a big adventure, and spreading the news about that. In August, let's take a quick break, and then I'll come back with more on me and my Roku. Okay, kids, gather around. Let's have a little chit-chat here. I do this show absolutely for free. This is just things I like to do. I just like to talk into a microphone and see little things go on this chart here on my screen and all that stuff. So all the different waves and all that stuff. So it's good muscle memory for me. And if you get anything out of it, I really appreciate it. There's nothing really that you have to do. If you want to support and all that stuff, and you just feel like a supportive person that you feel like you have to do it, like you have to tip everybody and all that stuff, well, there's a tip jar on radioaffliction.com. And you can do those things. But mainly, the bandwidth here is provided by archive.org. And I just really hope and wish and pray that you guys can take a look at that and give some support their way, because they are just fantastic. I was listening to the Motley Fool Money podcast, or Market Foolery, because there's two of them. But it was Market Foolery. Well, there's a whole bunch of them. But anyway, it was the Market Foolery one I was listening to, The Daily Show. And a gentleman was talking about something that he had written 20 years ago about market analysis or something like that. And he was criticizing it. Is like, how useful is it and all that stuff. And he wrote an article about it 20 years ago or something like that. And it wasn't on the Motley Fool's website any longer. He went back to the Wayback Machine on the Internet Archive, and he found his article, and he then made a link to it, and so people could understand the point he was trying to make and all that stuff. That's the type of things. It's not just a silly podcast. There's a whole library out there, whole world out there at YRTA. The University of Toronto has, so they're all, everything they've published, and they've put on the Internet Archive. So those are the different things. So please support that as well. Another project I've got going on that includes the Internet Archive, because they've been my bandwidth provider since 2007, 8, I don't know. So I did a podcast called The Radio Affliction, and it never got to what I wanted it to be. The closest thing that I can think of if you want to think of a format of the show, would be the Tony Kornheiser show, where you have the news. We did news, weather, sports type of format. Actually, it was a complete ripoff of a Chicago DJ called Spike O'Dell. I might have even ripped off the name from him. But anyway, so I did a podcast on that for many years, and it did segments and stuff like that. So about 5 years ago or so, I did a thing called the tuning radio. And that was, think of it this way, is you're from the future. And you either came back in time or you did an archaeological dig and you found this magic radio, okay? And it was like wondering what this is. How does this work type of thing? People don't maybe not even know how to tune a radio or anything like that. So you found this radio and you would tune to get these different things. And so I did that, all my little segments of everything that I've done since I was, say, 8 years old, till the time I was in radio and till the time that I was just making cassette recordings for people and stuff, and then when I was podcasting. So I take these segments and I do them to a tuning radio. So if you were just this person who didn't know anything and you just look at this magic radio, and it automatically tunes and it gets all the stuff. So kind of keeping that project going. So I've listened to all those things. So if you want to check that out, I've found out that the feed still works for the Radio Affliction on Apple Podcasts, on Stitcher, and a couple other of those things, and I'll get Spotify and everybody else later. So I'm still going through my cassettes, my mini discs. Thank God my reel-to-reels are gone. And the Internet Archive. So if you're interested in that, check out the Internet Archive out and support them, and check out the Radio Affliction and see if that's something that you might enjoy as well. Thank you so much. Okay, and we're back. Inside baseball story here as I'm recording these podcasts. I have a sweet cat to begin with, but for some reason or another, it's like if I would say, "Hey, Milo, come here, buddy," type of thing, he'd be like, "No, not right now," type of thing. But when I'm recording a podcast, that's when he wants to rub my leg and rub my, and he gets the mic stand and all that stuff, and he wants to rub the microphone and all that stuff. So, funny story what it takes to record a podcast someday, especially when you're doing your own home studio. So, just one couple of little notes here left from 2019, and my notes there. Well, a big thing happened just as football season was starting, and I believe they would say the week 3 of the preseason is what they would like to call the dress rehearsal type of thing. So we got our TV room, or we just got a big 58-inch, 4K UHD, all the H's and D's and all that stuff, all the pixels and all that stuff. So we got a new TV, so we didn't know what to do with our old TV, so we moved that one upstairs because that was only 50-inch, so we grew 8 inches there. But then we had a TV in the living room, and that got moved just up into the office here, and I didn't really need it. I would test out, older Rokus and Chromecasts and all that stuff. But it didn't really fit in the office, and it was on top of my old stereo console, which I still like to listen to every now and then. Throwing a vinyl record, throwing a track on there type of thing. So I listened to a sports talk show host. I won't say his name because he's an idiot. But his big deal is that if you're a real sports fan, okay, you don't go to games. If you do, you leave early. And that's just nonsense to me. But he says, no, what you do is you set up your home theater setup, and you have 3 TVs because there's at least 3 sports going on at all times. And I'm like, So we had this extra TV, and we had this really nice computer monitor, and it's like, well, we have the dress rehearsal football going on. Let's try this out. And we went with 3 TVs. Now, normally we just have the 2 TVs now. But on certain game days, especially college football, because there's way more going on Saturdays than Sundays, we did 3 TVs and hooked up all the Rokus that we had. And an Amazon Fire, nothing, and nothing else, just our Rokus. And a Chromecast. No, that's okay. Anyway, so the 3 TV setup was a big deal for them. Also, we had an incident where our internet went out. And like, oh no, what do you do? Type of thing. So for me, it was a no-brainer type of thing. To be somewhat mindful, but for the most part, we use T-Mobile, and so they have a thing called Binge On. So there's certain apps that you can use that won't count against your data. So Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, all those things don't count against your data. But some other things could, so you got to be careful on this. So, but if you're on Google Fi or something, you can use up your data real fast. So you have to be mindful. This is emergencies only. But since Hulu was fine and PlayStation View was fine, we in an emergency we used that. So comings and goings. A lot of things came and went throughout the year. So, but just in the 2 weeks that I didn't do a podcast type of thing, some things had to come and go. And so I had to clean things up. So now that sports season is kind of in a mode type of thing. So football's ending up and it's on local TV now type of thing. The Fox Sports apps can kind of go. Now, hello. One thing you might want to just hold on to, the Fox Sports Go is definitely gone. That doesn't really do anything for us anymore until baseball season starts up, maybe. But the Fox has the Super Bowl this year, and CBS did it last year, whereas this is where they like to show off their different things. And they're also testing this data and all that stuff to see who's streaming and who's not type of thing. So Fox, for the World Series, did the games in 4K. So I might hold on to the Fox Sports app just a little bit to see if there's anything tricky they might do for the Super Bowl, or maybe have some extra commentary or maybe things along those lines. So that might just stay for a little while. But Fox Sports Go, thanks. You did great, but it's time to say farewell. Also going, Disney Plus. Oh, no! You can't get rid of that. Now, hold on, everybody. If you've been listening to the show throughout the year, you'll know that I get a lot of my extracurricular apps using gift cards. Hulu, I can just get a gift card at a store or something like that, pay some cash or something like that. Or I can, I guess Bing, I can get it and stuff like that. So, or Swag Bucks. Otherwise, Apple credits. I get a lot of those for certain things that I do and all that type of thing. And so then through the App Store, then I can get Boomerang and Disney Plus and a whole bunch of different stuff and CBS All Access. And so and just it goes through my Apple credits, and then whatever else then goes to my PayPal. And that's I also get through other means type of things. So I got a big vacation coming up, and its due date was coming up, and it's just like, and I know it's only $7, but we got to keep CBS All Access because we got shows coming up and we got Picard coming up and different things like that. So I just made an executive decision, and that's the beauty of you and your Roku, is that you can stop. It's okay. And then you can start again. So we're stopping now, and then if we need to do something, we'll start again. It's okay. So maybe in mid-February when we come back, it's like we need to watch some Disney. It's fine. We watched the live version of Aladdin. And, critics were kind of like, about it. We enjoyed it. It was fine. So we love Disney Plus. And sometimes we want to see a Disney movie. So we'll get it again. It's okay. It's not a big deal. It's all right. I think I can make it another couple weeks without it. So, also coming back, SiriusXM. Now, I was just talking about we don't really use music on the Roku anymore. We got devices now and all that stuff. But every now and then, they get a little flaky or something like that, or something else is going on. We'd just rather have it through the Roku. We basically, because we're down to one car, we needed Sirius, and we went on a bunch of trips up to Minnesota and all that stuff. if you've got a 4-hour trip, you need satellite radio type of thing. So that's where we're at right now. Plenty of things coming up, so we'll see what's going to go on with PlayStation View when that goes away. Plenty of other things going on. I'm hoping you're enjoying you and your Roku as much as I'm enjoying me and my Roku. 2019 in the past now. Moving forward with 2020, we'll see what's going on. Check with us because we are on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spreaker, Spotify, Google Podcasts, YouTube even, radio.com, and iHeartMedia. You can email me at, me and my Roku podcast at gmail.com. You can do that as well. And follow me on Twitter at Radio Affliction. And you can get updates on the things that I'm doing. Sometimes I'm just screwing around and all that stuff and saying hello and all that stuff. But say hello and we can have a conversation that way as well. Also, stay tuned for Radio Affliction, Tuning Radio. More of that stuff coming up at radioaffliction.com. Lots of stuff on there that just you can see what kind of idiot I am and all that stuff throughout the years and all that stuff. So thank you so much for me and my Roku. I will see you real soon.